Welcome to Amazing Stories. Today we bring you a rather peculiar story, different from the ones we usually tell, but just as fascinating. We're going to step inside the walls of the world's smallest country, the Vatican, with a story that's immense, full of ancient secrets, unforgettable characters, mysterious rituals, and a spiritual power that influences millions of people. Have you ever wondered what it's like to live there? Who lives in that sacred place? What mysteries does it hide? Get ready, because this isn't just the story of the Vatican. It's a journey through its hidden corners, its customs, its rules, its miracles, and of course, the figure of the Pope, from the earliest years to the current Pope, Leo XIV. Let's begin this journey into the very heart of Catholicism. We're about to dive right into one of the most enigmatic places on the planet. With just 44 hectares, about 660 meters by 660 meters, the Vatican combines constant surveillance with stories that almost never reach the public. Within its walls, secret tunnels are said to have served as escape routes for the popes, while archives restricted to only a select few safeguard documents capable of changing entire chapters of human history. Some even speak of machines that could alter time, connections with secret societies, from the Illuminati to the Mafia, and special rooms dedicated to exorcism courses. Beneath the majestic basilica, narrow corridors lead to a crypt where many believe the remains of the Apostle Peter rest. Right above, a micronation buzzes with life, boasting a bank, hospital, pharmacy, and a unique military force, the Swiss Guard, who patrol the territory in uniforms supposedly designed by Michelangelo over 5 centuries ago. Within these 44 tiny hectares, monumental secrets of human history are safeguarded. In the next few minutes, we'll explore these hidden layers to uncover stories that are almost never revealed. Legend has it that many centuries ago, a woman disguised as a man managed to sit on St. Peter's chair. To prevent this from happening again, it's said that a rather curious position was created in the Vatican, the testicle examiner, whose job was to manually check if each new pope was really a man. Maybe that's why, in the smallest country in the world, there are hardly any women. There aren't even 20. Within these walls, the pope lives without a salary, doesn't pay taxes, owns no property in his name, and even goes without a cell phone. In exchange, he has access to a library closed to the public and, according to tradition, the power to forgive the gravest sins and even perform exorcisms. His path to the White Throne begins with a secret ritual, the conclave, a word that literally means under lock and key, where the cardinals, locked in a room, decide who will be the next leader of the church. For millions of people, a tiny piece of land smaller than many neighborhoods holds the very heart of the Christian faith. Right there, St. Peter's Basilica was built, a monumental work erected on the belief that the remains of the apostle rest directly beneath the main altar, protected by ancient tunnels and catacombs. In the 1960s, Italian archaeologist Margherita Guardi managed to go 3 meters below the main floor and found a very peculiar tomb. Among the bones, a simple piece of graffiti read, Petrosini, which meant, Peter is here. This discovery made the mystery surrounding the place even stronger. If this has already piqued your curiosity, let me tell you that the necropolis, known as the SCAV, can be visited. Reservations are made on the official Vatican website, but spots are limited and sell out quickly. In the heart of Rome, there is a miniature territory, Vatican City. It's only 44 hectares, kind of like a small neighborhood where about 850 people live. Of these, 630 are there all the time, and almost all of them are part of the clergy. Among them, some men stand out for wearing the most photographed outfit in the place, the Swiss Guard. This corps was created in the 15th century to protect the Pope, and even though there are only a few of them, they still train intensely to this day. Their uniform, with blue, red, and yellow stripes, almost unchanged since 1508 and supposedly designed by Michelangelo, has become a true symbol of the country. Back in Renaissance times, Swiss mercenaries were known for being disciplined and loyal, something the current guards still take pride in. The event that cemented this reputation happened in 1527, during the sack of Rome. While chaos reigned throughout the city, the Swiss guards secured Pope Clement VI's escape through an elevated 800-meter passageway, the famous Passetto di Borgo, which connects the Vatican to Castel Sant'Angelo. This secret passage, rarely open to the public, still holds stories worth telling. For centuries, the successor of Peter not only stayed at the altar, but also gave orders for war. From the Alps to the Tyrrhenian Sea, lands like Lazio and Umbria made up the Papal States, a living border between religious power and political ambition. This map began to fall apart in 1870, when the newly unified Italy took over Rome. Since then, the Pope's earthly authority was reduced to the confines of St. Peter's Basilica. History took a new turn in 1929. At the height of Mussolini's regime, the Lateran Treaty turned those 44 hectares into Vatican City, recognized as an independent state. Since then, the Pope began to devote almost all his energy to spiritual matters, leaving the battles to the diplomats. But not everyone used the papal ring just to bless. In the 14th century, Clement VI, surrounded by the Black Death, lived a life of luxury and also encouraged the sale of indulgences, which would later trigger the Protestant Reformation. And then in the 15th century, Rodrigo Borgia, who became Pope Alexander VI, treated the throne of St. Peter as a key piece on a political chessboard, expanding territories, handing out positions to his relatives, and making deals through corruption and violence, always seeking to elevate the family name. Deep within the medieval corridors of the church, there echoes a story that still sparks curiosity. In the 9th century, supposedly, a woman donned the cassock and sat on the throne of Peter for almost 2 years. The secret held until a dramatic procession, when the woman began to give birth in front of the entire crowd. The scandal was so great that a new protocol emerged. The newly elected pope had to sit on a marble chair with a hole in the center. Below, a priest would check and announce in Latin, "Duos habet bene pendants," which means, "He has two and they hang well." And the choir would automatically respond, "Deo gratias," which means, "Thank God." Centuries later, another episode changed the way the new pope was chosen. In 1271, in the city of Viterbo, the cardinals had been arguing for more than 2 years without reaching an agreement. The people, desperate, decided to lock them in. They limited their food and didn't let them leave until they chose someone. That's how the modern conclave was born, which keeps the cardinals isolated until they make the final decision. And with this came the famous smoke signal, black when there's no agreement, white when a new pope has been chosen. A tradition that was established in the 15th century and that, to this day, keeps the world watching the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. In the quiet hallways of the Apostolic Palace, there are 80 kilometers of shelves filled with documents spanning centuries of history. There you'll find the documents that condemned the Templars, the pages that brought Galileo before the church tribunal, and even the bull that excommunicated Luther from Rome. Nowadays, only a handful of researchers have access to those archives. Precisely because of that barrier, many believe that prophecies or documents capable of turning the world upside down could be hidden there. But the rumors aren't limited to what's written on the scrolls. In the 1940s, a story circulated about a device supposedly created inside the Vatican, capable of capturing images from the past, including the crucifixion of Jesus. No evidence was ever presented, but the legend of the famous chronovisor still has many believers. Inside the Vatican, there is a rather discreet course where priests are trained to deal with manifestations considered supernatural. In these exorcism classes, students study theology, liturgy, and even basic medical concepts so they can distinguish between psychological problems and supposed possessions. More than 250 priests have already graduated from this school and have performed thousands of rituals, many of them right in the chapels of the Vatican, in the corridors of religious power. Behind the sacred walls of the Vatican, where decisions are made that affect millions of believers, inexplicable events have also taken place. For centuries, there have been reports of sudden healings, mystical visions, and phenomena that defied logic even within the apostolic palace itself. Some popes authorized investigations into alleged miracles before canonizing saints. Others witnessed astonishing events. But there were also confrontations with evil. It is known that exorcisms have been performed in the hidden corridors of the Vatican, some with high-ranking witnesses, although most remain in absolute silence. In the Vatican's secret archives, there are documents describing strange cases involving clergy, nuns, or even visitors who came seeking desperate help. But not everything is spiritual. The Vatican's somewhat shady money has caused major scandals. In the 1970s, the collapse of Banco Ambrosiano, which had ties to the Vatican Bank, exposed billions in fraud and implicated high-ranking members of the Church. Shortly after, the sudden death of John Paul I, just 33 days after becoming Pope, sparked conspiracy rumors that people are still talking about today. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, known as Pope Francis, took the papacy in March 2013, becoming the first Jesuit pope and the first Latin American pope in history. From the very beginning of his papacy, Francis showed a more approachable and accessible style, in contrast to the traditional and distant image often associated with the papacy. His pastoral approach has been one of reconciliation, humility, and care for those most in need. Pope Francis has stood out for his emphasis on poverty, caring for nature, and social justice. In his encyclical Laudato Si, he called for urgent global action to combat climate change and protect the environment, reminding us that the Earth is our common home. He has also been a strong advocate for the rights of migrants and refugees, addressing a global challenge that has reached the doorstep of many nations, including those in Europe and the Americas. One of the most notable aspects of his papacy has been his stance on sexual abuse within the Church, an issue that has deeply shaken the institution. Francis has sought greater transparency in handling these cases, establishing tribunals and committees to address complaints and ensure that those responsible are brought to justice. Another important issue has been his approach to reforms within the Vatican Curia, the Vatican's administrative structure, which is known for its problems with corruption and bureaucracy. Francis has tried to implement a model of greater openness and collaboration, including women in more prominent roles within the Vatican administration and promoting a more transparent and efficient management of the Vatican's resources. In addition, he has adopted an inclusive stance toward different groups within the Church, especially on issues such as same-sex marriage, the role of women, and the relationship with other religions. Although he has not made any radical doctrinal changes, he has opened up dialogue and made it clear that the Church should be a welcoming space for everyone. In summary, Pope Francis has achieved a symbolic transformation of the papacy. His message, based on mercy, peace, and justice, has resonated with millions around the world, setting a new course for the Church in the 21st century. His papacy continues to be a period of profound reforms, with both internal and external challenges, and he has left a lasting mark on the modern history of the Catholic Church. On May 8, 2025, after a conclave that began on May 7th, the cardinals elected the 267th Pope of the Catholic Church, Robert Francis Prevost, who took the name Leo XIV. This event marked a historic milestone, as Leo XIV is the first American pope and the second from the Americas after Pope Francis. In addition, he is the first pope to belong to the Order of St. Augustine, a religious community dedicated to Christian life and community. His election took place in a context of expectations for the continuation of the reforms begun by his predecessor. In his first public address, Leo XIV expressed his gratitude for the legacy of Pope Francis and emphasized the importance of unity, peace, and compassion. He committed to continue working for a church that is close to the margins, inclusive, and dedicated to social justice. In his first meeting with the media, Pope Leo XIV emphasized the importance of press freedom, stating that only well-informed people can make free decisions. He also advocated for the release of imprisoned journalists and condemned the use of warlike language, calling for words to be disarmed in order to contribute to peace. On the international stage, Pope Leo XIV has taken a firm stance in support of Ukraine, condemning the Russian invasion as imperialist and calling for a 30-day ceasefire. His message has been well received by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who has invited the Pope to visit Ukraine. This stance marks a departure from the more neutral approach of his predecessor, Pope Francis, regarding the conflict in Ukraine. The election of Leo XIV has sparked renewed interest in the Vatican, where his presence is already being felt as a new buzz among the walls that have kept secrets for centuries. And with that, we say our goodbyes. It was a pleasure to share this story with you. We sincerely hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to your comments about it. That way, we'll know if we're on the right track or if we need to change a few things. Thank you very much, and see you next time for another amazing story.